In this video, let's talk about the power of simplicity. The mind seeks complicated solutions for its complicated problems. This is the mind. It can't grasp what is simple. It overlooks simplicity. It's like it can't even see it. And it's really the simple things, it's the simple solutions that solve the problems, isn't it? Isn't it always, when we try and solve a problem, isn't the solution always simple? It's always like, oh, why didn't I think about that? It's so simple. It makes so much sense. Exactly. Because the mind is overlooking it. It's like it can't see. It's almost like it censors simple right out of it. Like it can't see it. It overlooks it because it's constantly seeking something that's complex, something that's complicated. It disregards what's simple, actually, when it's presented, here, I got a simple solution to your problem. Here, try this. No, it can't. Watch it. It basically does this. It can't be that. It disregards it, kind of puts it to the side, and it wants something more complicated. Try this one step, this one practice. It's so simple. This one thing, it'll change your life. Can you focus on your breath with absolute attention for 1 minute? It'll change your life. Practice this 1 minute every single day. It will change your life. If you give it absolute attention, absolute focus for 1 minute, consciously breathing 1 minute a day will change your life. The mind says, F that. I know how to breathe, you idiot. I don't need to be told how to breathe. I don't need to practice breathing. I'm breathing all the time. Why would I waste a minute? But it'll do so much. It'll look for something else, something way more complicated, something that's very complicated. They'll sign up for some big system, do 50 different steps. That's the thing. That's the nature of the mind. It literally wants to jump through a bunch of hoops. But then always when we find the solution to our problem, it's almost like it's right there in front of our face where it's like, oh my goodness, why didn't I see it? It's the simple solution. It's something that's simple. In fact, it's something that we're overlooking, that it's almost like we forget it. Like we forget the basics. That's why when people say this is foundational, this is a basic, it's a essential, it's a building block, right? See this a lot in business where people get so caught up in all the different tactics and the shiny object syndrome, and they're lacking the basics. They're lacking the basics. They don't understand the essence of business, service, value exchange, giving. Where then when you point it out, what's the value? Who are you serving? But when you know that, when you understand that, when you focus on the value, the service, then you're focusing on something that's so simple. And it's that simplicity, that's the simple solution. Because it's coming back to that basic building block that's overlooked or forgotten, or you could say the foundation is not there. And they're getting caught up in what color are the blinds? What color are the drapes? What color should we paint the walls? Should we do some granite countertops? What kind of design should we put in the house? Yeah, but there's no foundation. It's very simple. Pour the foundation. The foundation needs to be built. So it's these basics, right? It's these basics. Relationships, same sort of thing. Same sort of thing. A relationship that's created out of love. Unconditional love. So we see when we go into our relationships and we're trying to take, we're creating judgments, not forgiving, no respect, lack of kindness, lack of honesty, selfishness. These are all things that make it very difficult, almost impossible, for a relationship to thrive. It's usually a miserable relationship without love. So again, well, what's the fix? What's the fix for the relationship? How do you solve that relationship problem? Love. How do you fix the relationship? Love. How do you strengthen the relationship? Love. How do you improve the relationship? Love. Simple. But simple is not always easy. It's especially not easy when you can't see it. And this is the thing. This is with the mind. This is why I said it's like it censors it out. It completely overlooks it. It wants something that's super complicated. It almost kind of believes that, how could the easy stuff work? How could the simple stuff work? Oh, that's simple. That's so easy. Kind of like writes it off. I'm already doing that. But it doesn't really investigate it. Am I really providing value to my clients? Do I really know who I'm serving? Am I really coming from a place of service? Am I really coming from that place of abundance, which is giving? Or am I trying to take? Am I not really thinking about who I'm serving? I'm thinking about what I'm getting. I'm not being selfless. I'm being selfish. Me, mine, I. Well, hey, that's where a lot of the business problems come from. Right? Same in the relationships. Am I really being loving in this relationship? Am I approaching this relationship to give? Or am I looking what I can take, what I need? If I'm judging the other, the judgment's not loving. If I'm blaming, if I'm judging, if I'm criticizing, if I'm dishonest, right? It is lack of love. Whoa. That's what's actually creating the problems, is lack of love. And if we are more loving, well, that becomes the solution. Right? So it's finding the simple, giving the simple a shot. Because it's one of the things. Sometimes we're presented with something that's simple. Oh, here's a simple solution. And then it's kind of like, yeah, right. Kind of push it to the side. And then it jumps at a bunch of different things until it kind of comes back to that, if it does, and goes, oh, yeah, someone told me about this a long time ago. I just didn't really take it that serious. I just didn't really try it out. I overlooked it. Right? So when we're presented with some of those simple solutions in our life, it's an invitation to try them. Because as most people say, their life is chaotic, right? It's complicated, right? It's kind of a thing. It's complicated. Don't ask me about it. It's complicated, right? Why can't life be simple? It's complicated because we're making it complicated. But the answer to a complicated problem is never going to be a complicated solution. It's always going to be a simple solution. So just having this awareness that that's the nature of the mind, that it creates complicated problems and then seeks complicated solutions for its complicated problems. It's like it's always kind of making you kind of chase something that's never to be found. Will make you try out a bunch of different things, run through a bunch of hoops, and they never work. We talked about this in the video, The Power of Focus. Focusing on one thing, keep it simple. So we can direct all of our energy into one area. So when we start looking at areas of our life and we start understanding that we need to really simplify things. How can we simplify things? Usually we're doing too much. We need to simplify. Simplification is about removing things, refinement. We usually have way too much clutter in our life. Things that aren't really important, they don't really matter. Our life becomes clutter. It's almost like those shows about people who hoard things. They have troubles letting go and they just want to stockpile everything. That's kind of how most people live their life. We're stockpiling a bunch of things that we really don't want to let go of. But once you embrace letting go, it's the letting go that then you're letting go. Then finally, you can now see what's in front of you. It's very simple. Usually what's in front of you it's the solution. It's been there all along. It's just you couldn't see it because there's so much clutter. And that's the mind. The mind gets very cluttered. That's where simply, like I said before, like just focusing on your breath for a minute can help you declutter your mind, helps you purify the mind. It's like taking out the garbage. Just watch your breath with 100% attention on the breath. And you'll start to notice how clear your mind is. Exactly what I'm saying. It's like you're removing the garbage. Right? You put out the garbage at your house. You got to put out the garbage out of your mind. But if we continue to just stockpile that garbage, then it gets very cluttered. And the mind gets more complex. And then we can't see beyond that. So when we look at our life, if we want to be more effective in any area of our life, we should simplify. It's when we simplify things that we become more effective. So if you're asking, well, why would I want to simplify? That's because we become more effective. Wouldn't you want to be more effective in your life? So whatever it is, relationships, finances, business, spirituality, whatever it is, simplification, we're open to simplifying. That simplification is going to make us more effective in whatever we're doing, whatever we're involved in. In fact, we can become more involved the more simple things are. Because when we simplify things, we're then more effective. It's like we can go deeper into whatever we're doing. Because complexity is almost like it's superficial. It's like you're dancing around something. All these complex ideas, complex solutions that we're trying out. It's like we're dancing around it, but we're never actually penetrating to the core. What helps us penetrate to the core of any sort of experience or topic or situation or experience is always something that's simple. It's always something that's simple. And then we become more effective in whatever that is, whatever we're involved in. So there's many different benefits of simplifying. It's best to just see in your own life something that you had troubles with, or there was a problem in your life, and then look at what actually resolved that problem. It's always something that's simple. So just having that awareness, then the next time you're experiencing some sort of problem, catch your mind. Be aware of how your mind is making you think that the problem is going to be solved by something complex. It's always something simple. And then you'll start almost discarding, like the opposite. You'll start discarding, no, that's way too complex. It's got to be more simple than that. It's got to be, that's too complex. It's got to be more simple. And you'll be able to remove the clutter and put your focus on something that's more simple. Something that then when you see it, it's almost felt like, this is so obvious. Why didn't I see this before? Because what is simple is obvious. It's not always seen at first by most, but it's always obvious. It's literally like right in front of your face. And when you start having more of those, like the simple eyes, a vision that can see the simplicity, then you start seeing the simplicity in a lot of things. You start developing this vision that other people can't perceive, the simplicity. And then all of a sudden, you're the one that's always finding the answers to people's problems. And when you explain the answer to their problem, they're almost always saying, so simple. Why didn't I think about that? Because you're thinking complex. That's the reason. You're thinking complex. You weren't looking for the simple. Once you start looking for the simple, then you always find it. You can perceive it. You can see it. And this is something that's going to help you in all areas of your life. Simplification. But like I said before, is you have to be okay with letting go. Because when we simplify things, we're letting go of all the clutter. People who don't let go of the clutter, they're always living complicated lives, and their life is nothing but problems. Problems that they're creating, and then they have to then try and create a solution, a complex solution to their complex problem. And it's this loop that's almost craziness to someone who can see the simple solution. And that's the power of simplicity.